just going to go right down the line. So I'm going to make it look like this. This side is riveted on top of that. So we're just going to go right down the line like this. Let me go here. Sometimes it's easier, just go right down the line. In one motion. Try to keep your spacing even. Done. Then we'll go to the positive. Do a little shadow. It looks all riveted.
And I'm going to teach you the fundamentals of airbrush technique in a quick course. This is an airbrush. This is a Iwata Eclipse CS. It's a dual action internal mix airbrush that's gravity fed. This is the tip of the airbrush where the paint comes out. This is the handle of the airbrush that covers the inner workings. And this is the hose that supplies the air from the compressor. Dual action airbrushes are the most popular, and they give you the ability to change the width of line and the modulation of values of the paint without stopping your hand moving. This is the trigger at the top of the airbrush. When you press down on the trigger, nothing comes out of the brush but air. As you pull back, see how my finger is pulling back on that trigger? Take a closer look. As you pull back on the trigger, more paint comes out. The further back you pull on the trigger, the wider the spray, the more paint. That's dual action. One action down, the other one back. Internal mix airbrushes, such as this, the air and paint come together inside the tip. The air thoroughly atomizes the paint and sprays it out in a nice soft spray onto the artwork. And gravity feed refers to how the paint gets into the airbrush. This is a permanently attached color cup on the top of the brush that you put your paint in to be sprayed out. You never fill it all the way up. Fill about a quarter of the way. Otherwise, you can always put more paint in. But if you're moving your brush around, you may spill some on you. So, you take the airbrush and we put some paint in it. When you're starting out, you want to start with a pre-reduced paint that's designed for airbrushing. This is Comart by Iwata. Right, it's already pre-reduced to be sprayed, right, and it comes in a multitude of colors. We'll just use black in this class, black on a white surface. Look like a black and white photograph when you're done. So you put a little bit of paint into the airbrush. Like I said, you don't fill it all the way up. You hold onto the airbrush like you do a pen, index finger onto the trigger. You press down for air and pull back for paint. Down for air, back for paint. You control the amount of spray with the airbrush, with how close you are to the surface of the work and how much paint's coming out. And when you're practicing, you practice doing these dots. Now you can do big dots. Whoop, too much paint, too close. That's a mistake. Well, maybe on a motorcycle tank it might be some sort of decoration. But you try to do small dots. Like that. Next exercise that you will want to practice with is doing lines. Not a problem with a line. A line is just strictly a dot and you move your hand. But there's a hesitation at the beginning and at the end that's called the barbell effect. It's a glob of paint at the end where you're hesitating when you start and where you end at the end of the pass. To prevent that, you move your hand into the work, air, paint, release, and continue on. Air, paint, release, air, paint, release. And you eliminate that barbell at the beginning and at the end of the pass. The next step, the next exercise that you would want to practice is spraying a vignette. A soft gradation of color by holding the airbrush back, away from your work, and spraying overlapping passes onto the surface of your work. Now, you use this type of spray, this mister spray, an awful lot in airbrush technique because it's what gives you that airbrush look. Once you capture the spray with a template like this Art Tool shield, you automatically get an edge, right, that you can go back into and spray some gradations or so these three exercises are actually four: the dots, the lines, the vignette, the gradation, and the hard edge capturing using a template, stencil, torn paper. Practice with all these various elements. Practice over and over again. Keep it simple, right? Don't get ahead of yourself. Only use pre-reduced paint so you don't have to worry about thinning the paints down. They're sprayed right out of the jar, and then you're all set, right? So, that's it. That's a quick class, right? Airbrush, compressor, paints, templates. Iwata Medea Airbrush Company make the finest products, right? Art Tool, great templates, right? And you'd be all set to go. And I'd like to thank everybody at the Loft Gallery for letting us use their space. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Craig Frazier. I'm here with Iwata Airbrushes and Art Tool Products, and we're here to talk about stencils. Matter of fact, Viking effects in particular. This is the design I did for Art Tool a number of years ago, and it is directly reflected on my trips to Iceland and working with Tattoo Bike and some other different artists over in that region. You can see it's got a cool new packaging where we have the step-by-step on the front here. Again, you don't want to throw these art cards away that are the backing to the stencils because they're great separators when you put them in your accordion file. It has all the information you want concerning the stencils. Let's get right to the stencils. This one is actually one of my favorite. It's a Viking rune design. And what it is, I literally came up with a series of runes, 2 different styles of them, and with explanations underneath. So you can actually write and design your own phraseology using Viking runes. And threw in a cool little dragon right in there for you, which is very indicative of many of the stone carving and the artwork in Iceland. Another stencil we have here is called Valhalla, and this is very classic. You've got the ship, and you also have a very cool winged skull right there. You've got the hatchet with the design work inside there, as well as some other runes you can place along here, some shield designs, different designs inside the shield. A lot of things you can put together to create a cool landscape or design of a Viking ship as well as an axe. Thirdly, we have what's called Berserker. I love this one. This is basically the classic, skull and crossbones, except with a little bit of an Icelandic flair. You've got the screaming Berserker Viking skull, negative and positive, so you can create them in both black and white. Basically, he's got the 2 axes behind him. You got different set of teeth you can hear, some different ruins. And I always, on the sides, I kind of nick and ragged the edges in case you want to actually create a border around your piece that actually looks like it's been antiqued. Last but not least, we have Dragar. Now, Dragar is an Icelandic word for ghosts, and what these guys literally are is a whole bunch of just evil Icelandic Viking spirits. They're all a bunch of Viking Evil Dead kind of almost. You got your horned skulls and winged skulls, all put together in a menagerie that if you have any of my other skull stencils, you probably see my use of these. This is great for landscaping in the background or tiling in the background of stuff. You can also create this in just a cool little pile. All these stencils, like all the other Art Tool products, are solvent resistant, built to last a lifetime, and we also make them in a smaller mini kit. So I highly encourage you to check these stencils out. Matter of fact, go to Coast Airbrush TV and check out my video that uses many of these products. I'm Craig Frazier with Iwata Airbrushes and Art Tool Products, and I'll see you next time.
I'm going to fold it back. It seems fine in that curve. The airbrush will actually push the stencil down. See that? You hold it in place and just lightly register it in. Not blowing a lot of paint. Just enough. See that? Now it's just curved in just a little bit. Okay. One more. Let's bring in the flourish like this. I'm going to hold it just like that. Like I said, if this is in the way, just roll it out. Just hold it away like that. Just roll in place. See, now I got this nice design.
What I like about Honest Iwata is, to me, it's like a big airbrush. I like how it atomizes the paint material. I can control it. I can get some really nice detailed fades. All the other guns I've ever tried doesn't give me that control that I like. That helps a lot with my custom paint. Iwata has helped me with my custom painting by making my job easier, honestly. Before I would struggle with other guns, and NS Iwata seems to be just perfect for what I need to do, especially in the custom world. My favorite gun from NS Iwata is probably the LPH 400. I love how that shoots base coat. I love how it shoots clear coat. For me, it atomizes beautiful. The other guns that are essential for me from NS Iwata are the LPH 50, the 80, the 100, some of their airbrushes, the Eclipse, what else? The Supernova. Each one for me has a different function in custom painting, from my fades to my bases, my pearls, my candies, and my clear coats. So for me, it makes everything easier. I have specific guns for specific tricks of the trade. Danny D, and a NS Iwata is my gun of choice.
I love a NS Iwata spray guns because they're the most durable, dependable guns I've ever used since I started my career in the custom painting world. Every single gun from a NS Iwata is my favorite because no matter what I'm doing for what job, I can grab a gun from a NS Iwata and it works great. One of my most favorite guns from a NS Iwata is the LPH 50 because of the fact that the cup is actually 360 degree. You can go from a directional to a fan pattern, so you can spray a tank and also you can do your fades with the same gun without changing out to another gun. What I love about the Iwata airbrush is that no matter what I'm doing and what I'm painting, it's always there, dependable, ready for me to use. I beat these guns, put them through hell and back, and they still work at 100%. My favorite Iwata airbrush is the Custom CS because it's got the taller cut, the bigger trigger pull, and you can actually do the preset handle in the back in case you want to do details. So when I'm doing my mural work, it's better because I can hold more paint in it and work a lot longer. Iwata airbrushes help me create art because they're always there, dependable, ready for me to go and use no matter what project I'm doing. So the creativity side of it is in my head. The way the gun works is secondary, so no matter what, this performs at top notch. on Rhino, Van Ness Iwata is my gun of choice.
What I like about the Iwata line of spray guns and airbrushes is that it's really easy to service my customers. The simplicity of the design, but yet how intricate they are, it makes it easy, especially in a classroom situation. And here at Coast Airbrush, where we're doing our airbrush rendezvous, it's always nice to know that we can hold a course and worry about teaching them how to paint instead of fiddling with their equipment. So the low CFM use of the guns allows a lot of my customers to use some smaller air sources, and the ones that use larger air sources, it makes it really easy on their air sources so that they don't produce moisture issues and things of that nature. So it's just a lot easier on the equipment. Also, the simplicity of the design that they have here with the Iwata spray guns, it just allows for an easy maintenance, and that means more spray time. We can teach people how to spray. Just a few of my favorite airbrushes, I'd have to say without a doubt, is the gravity-fed Eclipse. The gravity-fed Eclipse, or ECL 4500, that is the creme de la creme when it comes to airbrushes. One of the things I like most about it is the fact that it's got a compression-style fluid nozzle. And what's great about that is when customers want to take the head assembly off and remove the nozzle for thorough cleaning, it's easy to get inside of and they can reassemble it without having to worry about the threads not sealing. That coupled head assembly that goes on there that press fits the fluid nozzle into the body of the gun just makes it really easy to get a good seal, so I don't have to worry about them breaking the nozzle off or having a bad seal. The other thing is that it's really great for a lot of different types of mediums because the passageway between the cup and the nozzle is really broad, so there's very little resistance when it comes to flowing all different types of materials, especially the thicker but more viscous ones. The other airbrush that I like a lot is probably the Iwata Micron. The Micron is a little bit similar where it still has that large passageway, but with the smaller head assembly and the smaller actual nozzle or air cap on the end, what makes it cool is it creates a lot of vacuum. So when you're doing detail, and that's when your paints are most susceptible to actually drying on the end of the needle, when you're doing that detail, because it's really thin, that Micron creates a lot of vacuum or a lot of suction to pull the paint off so that you don't get a lot of needle dry, or otherwise known as tip dry. The other function of that gun is that needle packing. I love being able to adjust that on the fly without having to remove a lot of the back parts of the airbrush. So I can get right in there to adjust that needle packing so that I know I got a good seal every time. When we're doing our classes here at Coast Airbrush, it makes all the difference to have an absolutely good working airbrush so we don't have to spend a lot of downtime. Some of my favorite guns in the Nest Iwata line are definitely going to be starting with the LPH-80. One of the reasons I love that little spray gun is that it atomizes the paint so fine. So for a lot of our custom users out there, which is what we specialize in at Air Coast Airbrush, it allows the paint to lay below the tape edge, and especially when it comes time to doing fades and blends, the atomization is just so fine with that gun that it makes it really nice and don't have the real grainy patterns that we would normally get with other types of guns that don't have that atomization. And without a doubt, I really, really love my LPH 400 LVX, but it's starting to teeter a little bit more with the Supernova. I'm loving the Supernova because I love the ergonomics of the handle in my hand. I love the less fatigue on my fingers because of the larger trigger base. And man, the larger volume that thing puts out and the larger fan pattern, you just can't beat it when you want to paint a little bit faster. So those are some of my favorite guns in the Nest Iwata line. I'm Dave Monnig, owner of Coast Airbrush, and that's why I love the Nest Iwata spray guns and the Iwata range of airbrushes.
Hi, I'm Paul Stoll. I'm the manager here at this PPG Training Center in Southern California. I've been with PPG 18 years now as an instructor, and it's a great facility. We have lots of classes here. We have classes for the collision shops. The painters come in here and we tune them up, make sure they know how to use our products, and for a lot of them, this is where they get introduced to an Iwata gun for the first time and pick their favorite. We also teach custom classes, which you can see, I do a lot of custom work. That's kind of my background. So we do a lot of airbrush classes, a lot of graphics, flames. And so we get a chance to use all the Iwata airbrushes in those classes. And again, the students get their hands on them and find out that that's a really easy gun to use. And a lot of these people have never airbrushed before, and they're a little apprehensive. But when they start using the gun, the airbrushing isn't so tough at all. Really, airbrushing is the same as painting with a paint gun. Two things come out of the guns, air and paint. The airbrush is smaller, it's actually easier to hold, so it's kind of a no-brainer. But we're real proud of our facility here, and we're real proud to have Iwata as one of our partners. Makes our job easier.
Spray gun.
My favorite Nest Iwata spray gun is obviously all of them, but I really like the LPH-80. I do a lot of custom work, as you can see, so this gun comes in really handy. It's great for collision work too, though, doing small spot jobs, cutting in door jambs, fender edges. This gun should be in everybody's arsenal.
What gun do you like?
Of course, when you get done with all this cool stuff, you got to clear coat it. And the WS-400, to me, is one of the best clear guns out there. This gun really lays the clear down nice and smooth. And probably the cool thing is there's not a lot of overspraying. There's not a lot of clear bouncing off the car. It has kind of that tulip pattern where the fan works inside of itself and the paint goes on the car where you want it, not everywhere else. My favorite Iwata airbrush has to be the Eclipse. The Eclipse is a workhorse. You can do about anything with an Eclipse, and I prefer the gravity feed guns. Now the Micron is an awesome airbrush, but I gotta be honest with you. The Micron does such a fine line. At my old age, with these glasses, I can't even see that line that it makes. It's if you want detail, the Micron is the gun for you. So here at PPG, Iwata is one of the main go-to guns. We love these guns because when students come in, they open the cabinets and they're like, oh. I think this is the place a lot of them get to try the guns for the first time. And then hopefully they go back to their shop and they make a purchase. But we have all of the guns, some of the older guns, all the brand new guns. And it's great to put them in students' hands and see the smile on their face and once they start using it. They're so effortless, they're quiet, less overspray, actually less material gets wasted. So it's a good purchase for a collision shop for any painter. I'm Paul Stoll, and if you want to be a successful painter, make sure you have an Iwata spray gun or airbrush in your arsenal.
I choose an Iwata because of the quality and consistency. I've got clients that demand the very best, therefore I demand the very best of all of my tools. I don't have time in the day to be jerry-rigging or troubleshooting my equipment. So the nice thing is the Iwata, the quality and consistency is there every time, every job. So you want me to narrow down to my favorite airbrush. That's a toughie. But I tell you, if I had to pick one airbrush, it's going to have to be the Custom Micron C. And I'll tell you why. It's all about the detail. This thing is a detail monster. Not only is it versatile, solvent, water-based, this thing is bulletproof. Take it on the road, in the shop, it takes a licking, keeps on ticking. Also, all the improvements that keep on coming up with it. You got the Mac air valve, the water traps that come with the custom series, taller cup for more materials, Teflon O-ring for durability, and a taller trigger for better range of motion and detail. Dude, I could go on and on, but it comes down to it for my preferences, my favorite airbrush, Custom Micron C, all day long. Hi, I'm Craig Frazier from Cal Concepts Air Syndicate, and the only airbrush and spray guns we use are Nest Iwata.
I choose Nest Iwata because it's a solid product. It's a product that I truly believe in. There's no other piece of equipment like it that I've tried before that can perform the way it does. From the way the trigger feels, to the way it actually atomizes, to the way it's machined. I can go on and on and on why I choose Nest Iwata, but hands down, it's just a superior product. One of my favorite Nest Iwata spray guns would have to be the LPH 400 LVX with the orange cap. It's just such a superior gun, I think, in my opinion. I gravitate towards that even over my Supernova just because it just feels so comfortable, and it's probably, you know, partially because it's the first gun that I added to my arsenal. But it handles every single time I need it to. You know, it performs exactly how I need it to. I do a lot of teaching and training, and I get that question from a lot of my students. You know, where should I start? I need one gun. I really can't afford to get multiple guns at this time, and I always tell them, hands down, get the LPH 400 LVX. It'll handle anything you throw at it, from clear coats to fine pearls to metallics. It'll do anything you need to. Start there and go ahead and build your arsenal from there. I mean, it's a flawless gun. I love it. That's why it's one of my favorites. Another one of my favorite guns would definitely have to be the LPH 80. It's a baby series gun, small, compact. It can handle anything you throw at it. I do a lot of custom graphics and artwork, and the way that thing atomizes so fine when I'm laying my fades, you know, my tape shades, you know, I can get so precise with it. It's really a big airbrush. It's one gun that you can use almost exactly like an airbrush. I've done really, really tight details with it. You know, even in some of the collision restoration stuff I do. You know, it's great for doing spot panels, door jams, dashes, anywhere hard to reach where you can't get a big gun in. I mean, this gun is definitely the one to go with. My favorite Iwata airbrush would have to be the HPC Plus. It's an awesome airbrush. It can do anything from really detailed portraits all the way up to helping me do some of the tape shades and blends that I do and some of the custom graphics that I do on car. I prefer Iwata airbrushes because the easy use is just superior to any other piece of equipment out there. When I'm doing my classes, clinics, I find that my students that bring in other equipment that they purchased it somewhere else, you know, any other brand, they just struggle a lot more than my students that start off with those Iwata airbrushes. They can tell the difference almost instantly from when they're using, you know, any other brand to they have that Iwata in their hand. Just the weight, the quality, you know, you can tell just by looking at it how much more of a better product it is. When it comes to spraying primers, a lot of painters I know like to go with no-name brand spray guns. I definitely recommend checking out the Air Gunza by Nesta Iwata. When it comes to primer guns, this is the Cadillac. This thing sprays and atomizes beautifully. That's why I choose the Air Gunza by Nesta Iwata for spraying all my primers. One awesome tool that a lot of painters don't know Nesta Iwata carries is this awesome ADG1B. This product is an essential to anybody that's spraying water-based paint. If you're spraying water-based paint, you know that you got to keep that air circulating, keep that air moving to help that paint dry a little bit faster so you can keep moving, especially if you're a production painter. You want to keep that airflow, get that paint dry faster so you can go into your next coat or even a clear coat. So definitely check this out. Nesta Iwata spray guns. As corny as it sounds, you know, it's a product I truly believe in. It's helped me create a career from nothing. You know, when I started, I really didn't know what I was doing, you know, just kind of figuring it out as I went, learning from whoever I could. And it wasn't until I actually figured out how to use a spray gun properly that I was able to tell the differences between all these different guns, you know, from all these different manufacturers. And hands down, Nesta Iwata is a superior product from the way it atomizes, you know, a lot less air pressure compared to any other gun out there. They're precision machined, you know, every single gun is precision machined. That quality you can tell. You can tell just by picking up a gun, just the quality that went into building that spray gun. And you're not gonna get that with any other gun. And I truly believe, you know, if you wanna be successful in this industry, you definitely gotta check out the Nesta Iwata spray guns. My name's Armando Serrano from Auto Color Studios, and I use NS Iwata spray guns.
What I like about NS Iwata is basically the quality of the equipment. The airbrushes are fantastic, and so are the spray guns. You can't beat Iwata. My favorite airbrush from Iwata has got to be the Micron Custom CM. It has a larger cup, the MAC valve, and adjustable rear end. It's a perfect airbrush for detail work and illustration. The other airbrush I use in my arsenal is got to be the Eclipse CS. It's a perfect workhorse for everything from laying out a flame job to knocking in backgrounds to fine detail work. One technique that I do with my Iwata airbrushes, and I couldn't do it without them, is got to be my True Fire effect. It's world famous now. I've done thousands of jobs with it, and my Iwata has never let me down. I call it my flamethrower. I'm Mike LaValle from Killer Paint. I recommend Iwata and Iwata Medea spray guns and airbrushes for everything you need for custom paint.
The NS Iwata guns have changed my life, tremendously with the work that I do. But it's also changed, many people's lives as in death. And what I mean by that is 1 year, the gentleman who I always looked up to by the name of Mario Gomez, he was my mentor. He was the guy who we talk paint, we talk about guns, and we talk about all kinds of stuff, but mainly around the custom paint world. And when he passed away of a brain aneurysm. And when we heard that he had passed away, I thought, wow, this guy's a phenomenal artist and it's created so much beauty in his life, spray guns, that now that he's gone, we have to pay respect to him by adorning his casket, painting it up for him custom in the style that he gave to us. So we got a hold of the family and we asked if we could paint his casket. And they said, yeah, go ahead. So I started off with just, me and a couple of friends, and it was like Bugs Gonzalez, OG Abel, and other painters wanted to come throw down on the casket, but we were the main three guys. And when we got the casket here, it was just supposed to be a quick little idea that's pay tribute to the man who gave us so much. So we came in, and I think the first night there was at least 30 people here. Every night we painted that casket. To me, it was the only right way to have him go out. The man lived a humble life. He was a dumpster diver, but he loved his artwork and he loved spraying, custom cars. So the best thing for me, the way I looked at it, is like, hey, when in 100 years when the aliens come and they dig up all the graves and they're gonna dig him up, his casket will be adorned, and it'll they'll worship him and treat him like a king in death, and his legacy will live on. At least that's my thinking. That's the way I look at things. So we did that for him, and now maybe one day he'll be treated like King Tut, not in my lifetime, but in someone else's lifetime. And that's why I do it. I've had many friends pass away, and they all have custom cars, so I copy their cars, the paint jobs, onto their casket, because that's what their lives were all about. So when I use, especially the anti-water guns, it changes my life, it changes people's lives, and even in death, it changes a lot. And that's what I'm using, because it's the best out there.
Probably my favorite Ernest Iwata gun. I've had it for a long time. It's a 440. It's a little beat up. It's wore out. It's about time to get a little tuned up. But it's my go-to gun. I keep going back to it, and it never lets me down. That 440 that I had, it goes back quite a few years. I would say that gun is probably, 15 years or so. It's beat up, it's been through the ringer a few times, but it keeps on performing every time. It's never let me down, so it's my go-to. I've got an arsenal there, but that's the one I always go back to, and hopefully it won't let me down. One of my other favorite guns would be the LPH-80. It's another go-to gun. This is, if you don't have it, you need to get one. That gun you can use for any of the flames, getting into detail work. It's a step up from basically, something that you want to put a little bit more paint on. And the atomization to doing the blends and everything else works great with that gun. That's one of my favorite guns. When I get to the clear coat, I always pull out the Supernova. The Supernova just lays the clear on slick as snot. That thing, it won't let you down. I got to get in there and lay it out. The clear just flows out, walk away. All right, when we talk about flames, when you talk about styles, you talk about flames. I'm known for my flames. I love to do traditional flames, as you can see here. And with the Ernest Iwata guns, again, I can get a perfect blend out of that gun, out of just about anybody's paint. That's what's nice about the Iwata guns, is I can dial them down, the atomization, I can get really smooth droplets. So my blends come out really, really nice. Whether I'm using a 400 or I dial back to where I'm doing a Harley where it's a lot smaller and tighter, I'll go down to an LPH-80. But with those guns, I can dial them back and do every one of these blends out of anything from a 400 all the way down to an LPH-80. When we get really tight, come in and do your tips into an airbrush. So Any of their guns, if you know how to use them, you can do any of this work. And I've taught myself to use these and use the best tool, and you get the best finish. I'm Jeff Stiles. My choice of guns, a Nest Iwata.
I'd say my favorite spray gun without a doubt is the LPH 400. I use it daily to clear. It lays down clear. I mean, it feels good in your hand to start. I just like holding it. It feels good, the trigger's quick. It atomizes the clear proper. I can adjust it perfectly. It's my workhorse gun. I mean, when I go into clear and I'm clearing, 25 pieces, it's important that each one of those pieces look good, because when it comes down to the color, sand, and polish process, if the clear is not applied properly, it's a disaster from that point forward. So that The LPH 400 is a solid gun. It's a workhorse. It lays down clear like no other spray gun. That's why I've used it for so long. It's absolutely necessary for me to use that gun without a doubt anytime I go into clear. I mean, when it comes to using a Nest Iwata spray gun, I'll use an Nest Iwata spray gun almost the same way I use an airbrush. They break and atomize the paint down to a point where I haven't use my airbrushes as much because I'll come in with a spray gun and literally do my fades and shades, and it comes out so smooth. The fade is so smooth and so soft that it helps the job get done twice as fast. I think so. I mean, whether you're a custom painter, you know, whether you're doing this as a hobby or you're a professional, having a solid set of tools is key in turning out a superior product. And when it comes to using spray guns or airbrushes, Iwata is pretty much the only choice for me. They've proven themselves time and time again. I've been in business for 16 years, and I can definitely say that they're solid and they've worked real hard for me. I had a ton of people turn me on to Iwatas. I mean, when you first get started, you're like not, you know, you don't have a grasp on what to use. It's a lot of trial and error. But, you know, guys like Dave Perowitz, you know, Dave Perowitz referred him, and Pete Santini, and, Danny D. These are all guys that I've looked up to for a long time and still do. And these are all guys who are using Ernest Iwata spray guns. So. My name's Buck Wild. I own Buck Wild Designs. I've been painting for 20 years, and our Ernest Iwata spray guns are without a doubt my absolute #1 gun of choice.